everyone, my name is Sarah. This is my podcast, Mother Goose Knits, where I talk about knitting, quilting, sewing, spinning, any hobby that I happen to be working on at the time. So thank you for watching. All right, so I have one finished object, finally, and it's my traveler hoodie. You can see the nice shoulder detail. It's a drop shoulder. It's an Andrea Mowry pattern. It's a drop shoulder. It's got a seam on the top, a 3-needle bind off seam. It's knit in this rib, knit purl rib. It's 3 knits, 2 purls. This has the 2x2 rib with a tubular bind off / tubular cast on, which I messed up a little on this one. This one is great, but this one is not. It's very tight. And it's got this little I-cord and a cute little hood. So, this knit kind of burned me out, to be real honest about that. There's a lot of purling. I really like how the rib looks though, so it was definitely worth it, but it felt like endless purling. Like it was basically kind of the same as if you were doing a flat cardigan or something, just knitting and purling back and forth. That's essentially how many purls you were doing anyway. And because it's sport weight, it took a really long time. I know a lot of people do their fingering weight stuff and they like breeze through it, it seems like. But no, sport weight for me was fairly small, thin gauge to work with, or not a thin gauge. Just, it's a thin yarn for me to be working with. But I am overall extremely happy with it. It's very wearable and comfy. And I did knit this. This is 100% acrylic, and it does not feel like cheap acrylic whatsoever. It's definitely a nice acrylic. It's Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek DK. I feel like it's definitely more of a sport weight than a DK, but that's okay. Yeah, this is a really nice acrylic yarn. So if you're looking for, actually there's a lot of, it's like a semi-solid too. I pointed this out before, but it's like a semi-solid. So it's not just straight one color. There's some color variation in it, which looks really nice. And this color is oxblood, and the I-cord edging is linen. So yeah, if you're looking for a vegan or allergen-free yarn to knit this in, Soft and Sleek DK, it's really nice. It's supposed to be low pill too. There's a little fuzzing happening, but overall really nice. I steam blocked it and that stretched out the sleeves quite a bit. You're supposed to knit them shorter because the ribs kind of grow a lot, and it definitely did. Now for this sleeve, I did the tubular bind off for the 2x2 rib, but I did it, you're supposed to basically do the Kitchener stitch, but I did the Kitchener stitch on one needle with this side. And then for this one, because in the directions it says to do the bind off by putting the purls on one needle and the knits on the other needle and then do the Kitchener stitch, which I've done tubular bind offs before, and I was thinking to myself, well, I don't remember doing that before. But I did it anyway, and it was very, very tight. So it only goes about that far, and this one goes very far. So it's a little annoying that this side is a little more tight than the other side, but it's all right because I really like it. And I wanted to chat a little bit about, you know, your dream wardrobe and then your realistic wardrobe. I think a lot of people who knit or even sew have that kind of issue. Like, if you like fashion, I guess, I've always been into like alternative fashion, stuff that you can't really wear on a day-to-day basis, but it's so magical that you want to wear it anyway. Like, this is something that when I saw the pattern, I was like, you know what? That would be a really realistic knit for me to do. Like, I would wake up in the morning when I'm tired and I gotta get to the bus stop, or I gotta just get the baby for the 10th time or whatever. I would put on my leggings and throw this on, which is exactly what I have on today. So, oh, I also made this shorter. So this was supposed to be a little more cropped, I think. Probably about 3 inches more, but I did a little longer. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that. This is a realistic knit, and so I was excited about it because I did want to have this piece in my wardrobe, but I wasn't as excited as like you would be if you're doing, you know, when I knit the halibut sweater or the fisherman's raglan. I was kind of, you know, envisioning, you know, being at the beach in the morning fog and it's cold and there's a lighthouse and, you know, it's this magical scene in my mind where I can wear this sweater. And the thing is, I don't live near the ocean at all, and I'm not going to do that. I don't work in a lighthouse. I haven't lived near the ocean in quite some time. So yeah, I have like fantasy ideas of fashion, and then realistic ideas. And so this was a really nice, realistic addition. Now, as for, I guess we should just go through whips, right? Because I've only got a couple. I've shown some before. One of which is this one. Okay. It is camisole number 4. It is still very slow going. I don't think I am a summer knitter. I just don't get too excited about tank tops. I mean, I think it's gonna look really nice once I'm done. I just have to do the body, so it's just straight down. I'll get to it when I get to it, I guess, but I'm not in a rush. That one is knit with my camisole number 4. I think it's 4. Jeez. That is this guy, Araucania. And the color is 2020. It's Itada Solid. It is 70% superwash wool, 15% silk, 15% bamboo. Fingering weight. And it is 100 grams. So I'm still on the first skein of that for the tank top. This I've had in my stash for more than 10 years. I bought this a long time ago. I think I bought this right before I went into boot camp. But anyway, it's hand dyed in Chile. So it's very nice. And I'm sure I'll be happy with the finished product once it's done, but I'm in no hurry. Now, my other whip is in here. By the way, I've found quite a few good knitting items just at the Target dollar spot. Like if you're ever grocery shopping and you go by there, I found this at the dollar spot, and it's just a nice drawstring bag. I mean, you can fit an entire sweater in here, and it's easy to carry around. You open it up and it doesn't it stays up really well, so, you know, it's not flopping over. It's really nice. Here is my Wednesday sweater. Or Wednesday sweater. No, it's not the Wednesday sweater. This is a weekender. I think this is cursed because I keep trying to knit a weekender and I keep messing it up, and it's not that complicated. So first, when I did this, everything, I had to like rip it back a couple times. You know, it wants a tubular cast on. And with this yarn, that does not work very well. It just looks really sloppy. This is Barocco Remix. Actually, it's in here. And it's not plant fiber, mostly, but it's very slippery like a plant fiber. So this is 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% silk, and 9% linen. So it's like half plant fiber, but it's all recycled. So it's very slippy and slidey. I mean, not as much as like a pure bamboo rayon, you know, but it's slippery. So when I first knit it, I got like up to here, and I realized that it's so stretchy because they're just sliding along. All the stitches are sliding along each other, that it stretches like crazy. So the width flat was fine, but it's so easily stretched that it was going to stretch out. It was going to like settle and be too big, too wide, you know? And I thought there's absolutely no way I'm doing that. So I reknit a swatch and I blocked it. I used 2 needle sizes smaller and then blocked it, and then I ended up going up 2 sizes to accommodate. But because the stitches are closer together and tighter, they're not going to stretch out as much. That's not going to be like sliding around. So I think that'll work a lot better. So I just finished the rib, or the split hem, and I'm working on it. Now, of course, I messed up and I did 2, it's supposed to be a 1x1 rib. Okay, I did the regular long tail cast on, so I did not do the tubular cast on because that was it was too sloppy for this yarn. This looks much neater. But I messed up and I did, oh, it's right there, 2 knits, or 2 purls, depending which side you're looking at. 2 knits in a row, and so it messed up the order of the knits and purls. So now, when you do that seam up the front, the seam is supposed to be in line with a knit bump, or a knit rib, okay? But on the front, the seam that goes up the front connects now to a purl rib, if that makes sense. So that's a small detail that is annoying, but I probably won't notice after I wear it for a while. It was funny, I told my 9-year-old that I made a mistake on here already, and that I think this is cursed because I keep trying to do it. I keep doing it over and over again, and I have to restart, and it was supposed to be an easy knit. And she was like, well, where'd you mess up? And I was like, well, can you find it? And she was looking, she couldn't find where I messed up, so only I know. But yeah, I like the Barocco Remix. It has really nice, I'm trying to get the good lighting here. I got weird lighting in this room. It's got lots of speckles and things going on in there. It's not, I wouldn't call it tweed. It's kind of tweedy. Maybe it is tweed. I don't know. I don't know what the technical definition of tweed is. But yeah, I like the yarn. I actually purchased this from the local yarn shop here. There's 2 local yarn shops, and I've only ever gotten the chance to visit one, but I'm definitely going to keep shopping there. So they have a lot of nice options that you can't get at the big box stores. So I'm definitely going to keep going there. What do we have next? Well, I suppose I wanted to talk about fantasy wardrobe versus realistic wardrobe. I have always been like a fan of fantasy, like Lord of the Rings, you know, Harry Potter, obviously, like I'm a millennial mom cliche. But I always liked fantasy stuff. And I always kind of wanted to dress in like kind of cottage core, kind of like a swamp witch. Like I want to wear, you know, linen skirts and aprons and capes, things like that. Or just anything that's a fun fantasy fashion style. In fact, actually, after I had gone out of the military, I had really always been in love with like Japanese street fashion, like Harajuku fashion. I remember seeing the book Fruits when I was in high school, and I thought it was so cool. And sometime during the late 90s and 2000s, Lolita fashion, or Elegant Gothic Lolita, or EGL, became a little more popular around the world. Like people outside of Japan would start dressing in that fashion style. And so I did get into that after I got out of the military and I could afford some dresses because they're very expensive. It was fun for a while. You could, here, I'll show you. Actually, I have some here. I have some dresses. I've actually recently decided to sell them. So here's one dress. This was my like Christmas time dress. See, it's got a stained glass motif. So in that fashion style, you would wear like really fancy bonnets, lots of lacy accessories. You'd have, there'd be sort of like international big tea parties that people would go to, and you would dress up. And yeah, you put on like your bonnets and your petticoats and your fancy little bows everywhere. And that was really fun, right? You could sort of be Marie Antoinette, kind of. And it was fun. I had a little group of friends here in Buffalo that are into that, but it's really exhausting. Like putting together an outfit like that is just a lot. You have to do the hair, and then there's other fashion styles that I wanted to get into, like Mori Girl, or, I mean, Decora is so cool. I'm sure you know what Decora is. It's just like all those hair clips and like bright pastel colors. It's fun. It's like punk rock, except everything's like pink. It's as intimidating and rebellious as punk, like a punk rocker guy with a mohawk, but it's extremely girly. So I like that about it. It's very aggressively feminine. but I don't have the energy for that anymore, and it's an expensive hobby, and I'm not going to do it. What I would like to do, instead of having a separate wardrobe of items that I wear for special occasions, I kind of just want my wardrobe to fit what I like. And that is very difficult because even when I go to the bus stop to drop off my kid in the morning, if I'm wearing like a sundress, I'll get comments about it. Not negative comments, like everybody's really nice. It's usually complimentary, but I'm not wearing clothes to get attention from people. Like, I'm not looking for a compliment. It's just because I'm wearing a sundress. I don't know. I mean, I'm just probably taking that the wrong way, but I get embarrassed easily is what I'm saying. So I'm really, truly like just not trying to garner a bunch of attention by what I'm wearing, but I want to wear fun things that make me happy. So, you know, my realistic wardrobe might be the leggings and a hoodie. But I have my dream wardrobe, which is linen skirts and aprons and knit sweaters, lots of layers. Actually, if I were to do Japanese street fashion again, it would be Mori Girl. And if you don't know what Mori Girl is, the ranunculus sweater, the extremely popular ranunculus, is a Mori Girl style. So that was designed like with Mori Girl in mind, and it means forest girl. Mori means, yeah, means forest girl. So it's supposed to be very like woodsy, neutral colors, natural fabrics, lots of layers. Some stuff is very flowy. Yeah, so I like that stuff a lot, but it's so much energy to put together a whole thing. So I really wanted to start sewing myself some garments that were easy to put on and comfortable to wear, that didn't require a ton of coordination, that still fit within that style without being over the top, if you know what I mean. So last year I did start kind of considering sewing dresses. Now, I'm not great at garment sewing. There's so many like fiddly details that I'm just not good at, like button loops or buttonholes. I tried to do a keyhole thing in the back of a dress, and that was a disaster. There's facing, there's bias binding. There's a lot of things that I'm just not good at. Like, I just want, when I'm sewing, I think because knitting takes so long that when I'm sewing something, I just want to get it done quickly. I'm like, I want to do a skirt in one day, you know? And you can do a skirt in one day. I actually dug out some of the fabric that I had bought last year intending to make dresses. Now, I purchased a really easy pattern. Oh, I didn't purchase it. It was free from fabricstore.com. They sell linen, and they have free patterns for linen garments. And I made the Cora half sleeve dress. I altered it a little bit. I did change the waistline. I made it a little bit higher, but I was also pregnant last year, so that was, I mean, they were good maternity dresses, but it was hard to really sew regular dresses, and I wasn't trying to sew just maternity clothes. So I had some fabric that just ended up laying around, and now that I'm nursing, I still can't wear dresses unless there's a button down in the front. There's no way I'm doing a button placket, like that's not happening. So, I mean, I just want to sew a skirt, sew an easy bodice, and like slap it together. I'm not doing buttons None of that. Zippers, absolutely not. No. So I did dig out the fabric, and instead of doing the Cora half sleeve dress, I looked up Rosary Apparel on YouTube. She has a lot of really great tutorial videos. She has 3 different skirt tutorials. They're easy to do, it looks like. There is one with a waist high. There's a 3-tiered skirt, and then there is a regular midi length skirt that with an elastic waistband. Am I doing? There we go. Make sure I'm doing the right stitch here. Okay. I think that's coming out right. Okay. Well, so last night I took out some of the fabric and started cutting. So using the Rosary Apparel midi skirt tutorial, I have started this skirt. Now, this is a woven, it's probably cotton. I don't know if it has any flax or linen at all, but it's a linen look. It's woven. But it looks a little linen-ish. It's this nice pattern. What do you call this? Plaid? I don't know. It's this nice orange. I got this from Hobby Lobby last year. It was on sale for fall. And the inside here is the lining. And this is just plain muslin, cotton from Walmart. And what I did was I sewed it together, I hemmed it, I serged the edges. See how nice that is. Sergers are totally worth it, by the way. You know, folding this, multiple times over is easy, but it's just so nice to be able to serge it. So here, I was supposed to gather the skirt part and the lining until it was this wide, about this wide flat. Clearly, that did not happen. So what happened was I did a basting stitch on both of these, the lining and the outside. And then you pull one of the threads and it gathers it. So I gathered it until they were both, this wide, flat. And then I went to sew it together. Now, in the tutorial, she does an additional basting stitch after gathering. Now, I did not do that. I just went into the serger and I serged it together. And what it did was it cut the basting stitches or the gather stitch. And it just kind of started ungathering. So it's larger. Now, what I can do is I can either do another basting stitch with the sewing machine or hand stitch it and then gather it a little bit more and then sew it again. I don't know. I'll do something like that. But the gathers kind of got loose. So that sucks. But I like how it's coming together so far. The hems are done. This one has pockets. Pockets really do take significantly more time. Even though it's not that complicated to do a pocket, it does take a little more time. I think it's probably worth it. But that one has pockets. Now my other one, I did not have enough fabric for pockets. So this one, I made the Cora half sleeve dress in this fabric. This is a gingham. It's this beige and green gingham that I got at Walmart. I like how it looks old. But I did not have the same amount, the same yardage. So I just used up what I had, and I didn't, like, there's significantly less yardage, so it's going to be less gathered, which is okay. I think there'll be plenty of gather anyway. But I did that. I just sewed a tube, so I didn't do any sleeves, and then I did serge the bottom, but I did not hem it yet. And here's the waistband, and here's the lining. I serged the bottom of the lining here. I probably will not fold this up and sew it again. I might. And here's the top. See, this is, uh-oh, we might have a problem. I probably have more lining than I have fabric. Uh-oh, I do. Look at that. Oh, that's not gonna work. Okay, well, I have a white linen that I wanted to make a skirt out of as well, so maybe I will use this for the lining for that. The white linen. So I'll make a third skirt, and then I might not even do a lining with this. Should I do a lining? I'll gather it and then I'll see what it looks like, because I don't want it to be I don't want to have a lining underneath it if it's not like poofy enough, you know? So it would end up looking strange if it poofed out and there was not enough fabric to make it look floofy. Yeah. Well, either way, I already have a dress in this and I really like the dress. So I'll try and do a skirt with this and see how it turns out. Anyway, so that is garment sewing. I might be able to finish those up today. I'm not sure. What else do I have? Quilts. I don't think I have any quilting updates. I did start, well, I started and then I stopped. I did a few lines of quilting on this quilt here. This was my summer themed picnic quilt that I started doing last year. It is Fence Rail Stars by Missouri Star Quilt Company. So it's got this sort of, it's like tons of scrappy pieces and then white stars, like background fabric stars, sawtooth stars. And I started doing the quilting just straight up and down, as you can see. Now, I don't have a quilting machine. I just have a regular, I have a Brother XL 2600. So it's just a regular garment sewing machine. So it's kind of a pain to do this type of quilting on there because you have to roll it up and really manage a bunch of fabric. But I'll get there. Here's the background. This background I found at Hobby Lobby, even though, and it basically matches one of the fabrics that I got in, I think it was a mini jelly roll. So, like, check this out. So that came in a jelly roll. And then this was at Hobby Lobby. So it's like almost the exact same thing. The jelly rolls I used, let's see. One was Beautiful Day by Corey Yoder from Moda. And the other one was Love Lily by April Rosenthal for Moda. One was a jelly roll and one was a fat eighth pack, like a mini fat eighth pack and a mini jelly roll. And then I also used up scraps from a thrift store. So like this, I found a charm pack set from a thrift store that had these colors in it. These little squares. This also, this paisley kind of thing was from thrift store. So it's a nice scrappy quilt. And I don't know what I'm going to use as a binding fabric. But I'm not going to worry about it because that one can take a little longer. Now, I showed last time that I had finished a quilt top. I started working on it when I was pregnant with my son, and I wanted to give it to him as a baby blanket. And I showed this hanging up, but it's the Buzz quilt. It's using the Bee Plaids Charm Pack by Lori Holt. And I haven't done anything new on that one. I have to choose a background, a backing fabric, and then a binding fabric. And I think I'm going to order from that line, from the Bee Plaids line, because I really like it. I have a red gingham that could work. Like this is about the bright red that the gingham is that I have. I just don't know if I like it. I don't know if it'll go as well. I might want to get, I think I might want to get a green one. I think I was looking at either this little green plaid here. It's like a teal plaid. And then as a binding, maybe, this one is called Mac and Cheese. So it's this fun orange. Actually, I might do the Mac and Cheese for the backing and then the green for the edging or for the binding. Yeah. So I might purchase the fabric for that one. And from now on, I think when I do quilts, I have a bunch of, oh, it fell down. I have a bunch of pre-cuts that are like commercial pre-cuts from like Moda and Riley Blake and those kinds of, like Tula Pink, like those companies with those designers. But I think moving forward, when it comes to quilts, I want to try linen, even though it frays like crazy. I want to try at least like linen look fabric. So maybe cotton that just looks like linen. I don't know. I also wanted to try ordering some hand-dyed, natural dye fabric from individual people. So I would always see these like really beautiful quilts on Instagram, and they have these beautiful muted colors, and I was just like, where do you find these solid colors? Because I would go to the fabric store and look at the solid colors, and I'm thinking like, these are just, they're too bright. Like that's not what I want. And the grunge colors are also not what I want. It looks weird. I don't know. There's something about it I didn't like. So I realized that these folks are probably making quilts from hand-dyed fabric. So they're dyeing it themselves or buying it from somebody. One particular Instagram quilt person that I follow that's a big inspiration is Public Library Quilts. If you've ever heard of them, they have a really big page. But they have beautiful quilts. I believe she's a professor, and she teaches about, you know, women's history. There's all kinds. Quilts are really interesting, actually. There's all kinds of history with quilts if you like getting into historical stuff. Like Gee's Bend documentary on YouTube, you can watch it. It's really inspiring. I actually read a book about Gee's Bend. I downloaded it from the library app, the Libby app. So that was inspiring. But But anyways, I want to try and purchase, you know, hand-dyed fabric from Etsy sellers, and I found a bunch. So I'm really excited about that. I think next time I do a big quilt project, after I use most of what I have at least, I will try doing that. And I think that'll be really nice and fun. And I'm also going to be doing some hand quilting, because machine quilting is okay. You can do a combo actually of machine and hand quilting, which might be really useful. So like if you just did an easy grid on your sewing machine, like stitch in the ditch kind of thing, so you can't really see it, but it holds it together, and then you do hand quilting on top of it, that gives it that nice squishy quality that people love. It's like soft. Oh, FedEx guy. Hold on. Okay, no, it was not. I am expecting a package actually on Monday. It says it's going to be delivered on Monday, but I got excited because I ordered some Plutalopi. So, in my last podcast, I talked about that I'm vegan, but I've decided that for knitting purposes, I will probably be using wool and natural animal fibers. I'll do that exception. And so I hadn't purchased any animal fiber yarn yet because I really did want to use what I have, at least a good amount. Unless I had an actual project set in stone that I wanted to do. And funny enough, I wanted to knit another one of these, even though it was not the most fun I've ever had knitting. I really want another one. And I was thinking about my Halloween knit, because obviously it's July and it's almost Halloween. So we need to get moving with that, especially with like knitting. I mean, if you're going to do a Halloween knit, you want to have it done for Halloween. Okay. And I was thinking about doing this in orange. Okay. I saw a beautiful mandarin orange from Drops. I think it was Drops Flora or something. It was, I don't know, it was a fingering weight. And then the tangerine colorway of the alpaca silk. That together for one of these, and then like a black contrast. Like, yes, that's a Halloween sweater. And I really want that. Did I buy that? No, I did not. I randomly one night was just like, no, I want some green Plutalopi. I want some unspun yarn because that's all the rage now. So that was my first animal fiber purchase since I made the switch over. That was the whole point of my story. But anyways, everybody's waking up. The little man here woke up from his nap. So I should probably go. I think that's all I had anyway. I started rambling about dressing like a swamp witch, and I don't know. But thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks.